channel.
Hey, you know what time it is, No Press fam? Welcome everyone to another episode of Beatdown, the segment and channel where two worlds collide. I am your host, Class. And as always, guys, if you guys enjoy our content, you know what you guys can do. You can share, you can like, or you can subscribe to our channel. When you guys subscribe to our channel, you know what you do. You guys are building our empire and allowing us to provide you guys with even much more greater content for you guys to enjoy. And welcome everyone to 2024. Yeah, and what way to start the new year but with a new DC Comics versus Marvel comic battle, shall we? And entering the beatdown arena, we got two cosmic level characters that can create quite an interesting constructs. So I'll be representing and starting the brief origin story with Atrocitus. On the planet Yzma, a Green Lantern named Abin Sur was consulting with two demons named Cole and Atrocitus. Abin came to seek out information about the Blackest Night, which was told to bring an end to the Green Lantern Corps and all life in the universe. Atrocitus was a prisoner of the Green Lantern Corps and wouldn't give up the information easily, so Abin Sur took Atrocitus on his ship back to his home planet to see what he could find out from him. During their travels, Atrocitus started inflicting fear into Abin Sur as he was held in a confined space by the Green Lantern construct. That fear would eventually make Abin Sur's ring fail him and release Atrocitus during mid-flight. They crash land on Earth and Atrocitus escapes, seeking out the prophet by the name of Hand, who was foretold to bring life to the Blackest Night. Meanwhile, a message from Abin Sur informs them that long ago the Guardians created an army of androids called the Manhunters, and these androids were programmed to deal with issues without emotions and only through logic. One day, they came to the conclusion that the best solution for keeping the universe safe is to wipe out the living creatures from it. Eventually, the Green Lanterns would stop them, but the damage to several civilizations was already done. A few survivors made it from the massacre and vowed revenge on the Guardians and the Green Lantern Corps. Amongst them was Atrocitus, but before he was Atrocitus, he was Atros, an ordinary alien in the field of psychology, and then witnessed one day the Manhunters taking out his wife and kid, sparking his rage, which would eventually grow into his own energy source, creating himself the Red Lantern Corps. Atrocitus finds Hand, and though he gets into a scuffle and defeated by the Green Lanterns, he did achieve giving Hand exactly what he needed to begin the event we will know as the Blackest Night. Let's get into the bath, shall we? Alright, here are the feats. Broken Sinestros chains, shattered Hal's construct, burned buses with his plasma blood, took out Black Lanterns, able to restrain rage entities. Atrocitus defeated Butcher as he was using an avatar. He built a cosmic weapon using earthbound materials. He can absorb opponents' rage. And on the New 52, check this out, he took on 3 members of the Stormwatch and held his own. Took a blast from multiple Red Lanterns at the same time and just made him stronger. Draw blood from Apollo. Yeah, Apollo. Cracked into Kyle's Green Lantern construct. Took out 2 Guardians. Able to tear nothingness itself. That's an impressive feat. Blasted Guy Gardner. Harmed Martian Manhunter. Fast enough to outrun Supergirl. With blood magic, was able to create tornadoes and able to take control of Manhunters, droids, or androids, I think that's what they're called. Blitz a Green Lantern and rip them apart. Fought toe-to-toe with Lobo, yeah. Can fight even with his heart ripped out of his chest. Battled it out with Hal Jordan when he had 3 different Green Lantern rings in his possession. Yeah, took a blast from Ion, an abstract being. Survived the blast from Larfleeze, hopefully I'm saying that right, who was the entire power of an Orange Lantern ring all himself. He pinned Larfleeze at one point. Yeah, that's not easy to do. Broken an arm of a Blue Lantern known as Saint Walker. Shout out to all my content supporters. We're not working together, but we like to give credit where credit is due. Ivan the Unstoppable for all the knowledge of comic feats. Watch Mojo for origins and for all the background videos. Comic Historian, Comics Explained, and Key Issues. Go ahead and check them out and tap into the world of comics by supporting other creators. Link to channels will be in the description below. Alright, so now let's get into the end game. How Atrocitus, hopefully I'm saying his name right because I don't want to be butchering it, but I always do anyways. No different from 2023, guys. So let's start off with the blood magic. The blood magic is going to play a factor in this fight. It can be an added bonus. It can be a trick up the sleeve, something maybe Nova is not familiar with, which gives Atrocitus an opportunity to use it to his advantage at any point in time during the fight. Another thing is that yes, Nova creates constructs. You know who else creates constructs? Green Lanterns, Yellow Lanterns, Blue Lanterns, whatever lanterns, Purple Lanterns. I mean, he's fought quite a few amount of lanterns over his time, and those are cosmic level characters themselves. So if he was able to go toe-to-toe with them, and he's also a cosmic level threat, if he was able to go toe-to-toe with them and defeat a handful of them like Sinestro and Hal Jordan at some point, even with the extra added Green Lantern rings, it's safe to say that he could go and defeat Nova, since Nova's powers are kind of basically almost the same when it comes to using the construct. It's not completely the same, but they also use energy. They also need it from a certain source, so it is somewhat of similarities. Atrocitus also can do a few other things, like for example, he could tear through nothingness, probably end Nova that way. I mean, that's a big flex, and it might be something that actually could be done. And the only way Nova would be able to defeat Atrocitus is if he was able to take the ring off of him. Otherwise, even if he rips Atrocitus' heart out of his chest, it doesn't do anything. It's not going to do anything to Atrocitus because everything is all in the ring. His heart is inside his ring. That's the little key right there. That's that little pocket, little trick up his sleeve, you know. That's probably part of the magic, blood magic. He's able to keep his heart inside the ring itself rather than leave it inside his own damn chest cavity. That's impressive in itself. So another thing is that if Nova gets frustrated or he gets mad or angry, it's gonna be his doom, his downfall, because Atrocitus actually feeds off that energy. He can absorb more and more rage even from his opponent. So if his opponent gets angrier and more pissed off, he's going to be able to absorb that energy and take it for himself and then throw more back at Nova that Nova's not going to be able to comprehend or be able to outmatch. And the last and final point I will make is the ultimate one, which is Atrocitus was able to make his own Red Lantern core. He created it, okay, out of his own rage. Nova didn't do that. Nova actually got his source from a certain source, you know, that provided him that power. But when it comes to Atrocitus, he actually built his own empire, his own power, his own level up. So it is safe to say that he actually has more control and more massive power in his possession compared to Nova, who probably is, you know, limited by it. I mean, I don't think he has the full source of the Nova Prime in him. I think he has somewhat of it. I mean, I'm sure he's got the, I guess he gets his amount somewhere. I'm guessing they teleport it or they channel it somehow. But either way, Atrocitus again is his own self battery, so he would be able to at some point run Nova out of juice. It just takes this long uphill battle, but eventually, ultimately, Atrocitus will be able to take advantage of that and claim the W on this end. And I'll be representing on this end and talking about the brief origin story of Marvel Comics' own Nova. Richard Rider was a teenager in high school who was constantly bullied, being told by several people he needed to get some confidence and stand up to his bullies, but he just couldn't seem to get the nerve. One day, a spaceship was approaching Earth, and in it, a being known as Nova Prime. Nova Prime sought help after his planet was destroyed by a being known as Sora, sorry if I'm saying that wrong, and was injured during battle. So he attempted to escape and find a way to defeat Sora. With very limited options and with his lifespan depleting, he knew he had to act quickly. So he shot his power beam towards Earth in hopes to find someone who can harness the power and use it to defeat Sora. The beam hits Richard, placing him in a coma for some time. While there, he was reached into his dreams by Nova Prime, who explains to him that threat that comes and how he must be ready to be Earth's champion to prevent it from being destroyed. His powers wakens Richard from his coma while shooting out energy beams as he woke. He went back to his ordinary life, not knowing if what he dreamt was real or if it was just something in his mind. Sora shows up and Richard transforms into Nova, and the two battle it out. Richard is new to all of this and makes several mistakes against Sora, but eventually was getting the hang of it until Sora disappeared out of thin air. Turns out Nova Prime had enough juice on the ship to bring Sora on board, and with his last dying breath, he blew up Sora and himself inside the ship. With Nova Prime gone, Richard Rider had taken the mantle of Nova and was the defender of helpless whenever needed. Alright, now let's get into the bath, shall we? Okay, here are some of the feats. He used a force field to protect himself from Galactus's blast, was able to shield from the Sphinx, block energy blast from Blastar, defeated a giant creature from Canterverse, and hopefully I'm saying that right, knocked back Quasar, knocked out Moon Girl with a finger blast, flying through feet and increased centuries. I don't know what that means, but I'm guessing that's some crazy feat. He creates Stargates, physic shields, able to absorb Death Storm and release it out of his system before it can do any harm to himself. Fought Drax the Destroyer, blocking attacks from Moonstar, took on the Revengers, another alternate version of the Avengers, and he took them on his own, and it consisted of Thor, Scarlet Witch, Captain America, Ant-Man, and the list goes on and on. He took down Ego, the planet. That's one heck of impressive flex right there and feat to do, because Ego the planet can go toe-to-toe with characters like Galactus himself. Destroy a Nihilist ship and take on Nihilist himself. Even at the end, he actually defeats him. Like, he can actually end his life. That's crazy, right? Took down Thunderbolts. And in the team, we had Venom, Pendants, and Moonstone. Trap people in Gravity Field. Now, I'm not sure. I'm sorry if I'm saying her name wrong. If it was Moonstone or Moonstar, or if they're two different characters. I do want to apologize because I am not familiar with the characters. Omnidirectional Blast. Take down enemies while protecting others. So he took an Omnidirectional Blast, and he was able to protect the people he cared about and take out his enemies in the process. Survived the planet explosion. Threw down with Thor while he was bloodlusted. Threw down with Gladiator. Yeah, Gladiator is a cosmic level threat. Take on the Silver Surfer himself. Alright guys, let's get into the end game. How Nova, I believe his name is Nova Prime, I'm not sure, but I believe it's just Nova. The Nova Prime, I believe, is the source, so Nova is just the name. So, how Nova would defeat Atrocitus. So let's start off with the fact that, people probably would think, well, no, Atrocitus got this in the bag. Oh, no, let's pump the brakes for a second here. This guy fought Thor, okay? And Thor has been compared to people like Superman. He's fought people like Gladiator. Again, another character who was compared to Superman. He actually held his own against Galactus, and he's fought Silver Surfer, and he defeated Ego the planet. So yes, it's safe to say that Nova can hold his own against Atrocity, and it might even be able to overwhelm him and defeat him in that way. Now let's talk about the Death Storm situation, where he was able to absorb it and then push it out of himself. Maybe the same rules could be applied when it comes to the Red Lantern's power. If maybe Atrocity decides to throw what he could at Nova might be able to do that one thing where he just decides to absorb the Red Lantern's powers itself, take it all away from Atrocitus, and then once he gets it, he can release it somewhere away from Atrocitus so Atrocitus can't get anywhere to retrieve it. Now, here's the thing about the Red Lantern Ring. The Red Lantern Ring is their life source. They need it to live. Without any medical procedures or anything like that, they can actually die immediately without the Red Lantern Ring. It's their entire lifespan. I mean, it's where they keep their heart. So I do imagine that it would be the way to kind of end them completely if it was destroyed or taken away from them. So Nova Prime can do that. Sorry, Nova Prime. Nova can do that. Nova as well does have his own ability of healing factor. Maybe it's not rip out of your chest heart out of your chest situation healing factor, but healing factor nonetheless that can keep him at bay with Atrocitus when it comes to a fight. He might be able to keep it toe to toe, and let's say Atrocitus throws some kind of acid in his face or something, he can heal himself from the healing factor. There is that possibility right there. Another thing is that the Nova source or the Nova Prime's power also gains knowledge, which means he could learn about his enemy, meaning that he could probably learn about the fact that Atrocitus needs rage in order to increase his powers and makes him stronger. So if it increases his power, he doesn't obviously need it because obviously it's always going to exist in this way, but if he gets it from Nova, it might increase his chances of gaining more power, because obviously Nova is a very powerful source himself. So if he's going to realize when he learns that to remain calm, don't get angry, don't get frustrated, just continue to focus as a very level-headed person during this fight against Atrocitus. Now, maybe you think this fight might go one way or another, but I do believe Nova, even if let's say he couldn't blast Atrocitus down, his defense is pretty damn strong. He was able to take blasts from Galactus, and Galactus is Herald Silver Surfer, so the power of Cosmic is threatening for anyone, and if Nova was able to hold his own against something like that attacking him, Atrocitus might be facing some difficulty trying to penetrate into the force itself and giving Nova a chance to breathe a little bit before he has to go back into the fight at this particular moment. And the last point I will make is Ego the Planet. I know I bring him this back is because Ego the Planet is a very strong entity himself. He's lived a long life, he's very cosmic level threat in his own right, which means that he's a very powerful source to be able to take on or take down. So if he was able to do that with Ego the Planet, Nova could, it's safe to say that Nova might be able to overpower at some point in the fight Atrocitus, as long as he keeps his power at a not juicing out situation and he just keeps throwing down. I do believe at some point he might be able to either take that ring away from Atrocitus, because he will learn that the ring is a life source for them, or even if let's say Nova decides during a fight he blasts that heart right out of his chest and he's still alive, he starts realizing, okay, I can't take him out that way, then he might be able to figure out that the power source or his heart or his life source is going to come from that ring. Even without the knowledge from his Nova knowledge source or whatever, he'd be able to still figure that out for himself, take on and maybe break through that construct or break through the lantern red ring itself, take out Atrocitus that way and claim victory on this end. But as always, no press fam, it is not up to me, it's up to you guys. So if you guys liked either one of my arguments, you know what you can do. You can hashtag Atrocitus or you can hashtag Nova. And as always, no press fam, we really appreciate you guys so much. Keeping it 300 subs. Catch you guys later. Peace.